I will be singing it next time, Mataji.
Okay, fine. I thought you'll be singing a short one today. It's okay, let's start today.
Oh,
Okay, let's start with our prayers and okay, almost done. Okay. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gatamayam Dadati Swapadantikam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusate Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shadvaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So Karma Yoga chapter 5. Action in Krishna consciousness. So first chapter was about observing the battlefield, Arjuna Vishada Yoga. Second one was about answering Arjuna's questions. Arjuna had some objections, and it is also summary of Bhagavad Gita. It's like Gita Saransh, second chapter. And then third chapter, Karma Yoga, how work can be worship. And then fourth chapter was about Jnana Yoga, transcendental knowledge. And then fifth chapter is Karma Yoga, work can be worshipped. So let's pay our obeisances to Sri Radha Govinda and Srila Prabhupada again. Summary of fourth chapter. So what all did we learn? Let's see. Knowledge about Krishna, transcendental knowledge. And then Krishna is the goal of all paths and the creator of Varnashrama system. Then section 3 was about Karma Yoga. And then sacrifices lead to transcendental knowledge. Summary of transcendental knowledge. So Krishna said, whoever knows about his divine nature, how he appears, and knows about his transcendental nature, will attain liberation. They don't have to come back to this material creation to take another birth. And then he said, you must, all the doubts of ignorance should be slashed by the weapon of knowledge. So he says a person in transcendental knowledge who has renounced the fruits of his action and whose doubts are all destroyed by transcendental knowledge, who is firmly fixed in his self, situated in the self, is not bound by any reactions of his work. So a person who is actually serving the Lord doesn't have to worry about any reactions to his work. He is just happy serving the Lord. So he is not bound by works. Then one more important thing he said, through Jnana, you can achieve transcendental peace. Today we want peace in the society. Everyone wants peace. They want to make this world a peaceful place. But the design of this world is such that it's never going to be perfect, because this is a design such that we come here, purify ourselves, and go back home. Unless and until we perfect ourselves, we will not go back. We have to purify our mind, our heart, and we have to develop love for God. Otherwise, we're not going anywhere. So that the verse says, Shraddhavan labate dhanam tatparam samatendriya. One who actually, attains knowledge. Jnanam labdva param shantim athirena ajigachati. Means athirena, very fast. That person will feel transcendental peace. So a person who has faith, who has dedicated himself to transcendental knowledge, he can control his senses and he achieves transcendental knowledge. As the faith increases, the knowledge increases, and very quickly you can feel that supreme spiritual peace. And so Krishna also stresses on working in devotion and inaction in knowledge. Working in devotion, inaction in knowledge. So actually we'll see why Arjuna is asking, what should I do now? He's going to ask that again. He's telling, after giving all that information, Krishna says, oh Bharata, oh Bharata, armed with yoga, stand and fight. He's asking him to fight again. So Arjuna is supposed to fight because Krishna is advising him to fight here. That's what he means. But then Arjuna again asks, renunciation or action? Tell me, what should I do? Karma sannyasa or karma yoga? Please instruct me. So chapter 5 is about this. Nishkama karma yoga is easier than renouncing work. How to perform Nishkama karma yoga? Platform of knowledge, knowing the three doers. Liberation by focus on the super soul. Liberation through Ashtanga yoga. See, he's mentioning Ashtanga yoga here. So next chapter is about Ashtanga yoga. Peace on the platform of liberation. So the first 6 chapters talk about Karma Yoga, 7 to 12, they talk about Bhakti Yoga. The last 6 chapters, they are about Gnana predominantly, but how to achieve Bhakti through Gnana. That's what it is all about. Last 6 chapters, 13 to 18. And as we know, the middle is like, it's like a sandwich. It's considered, compared to a sandwich, the middle part of the sandwich, that is the most delicious part of the sandwich, right? It's like that. So bhakti is in between the 6 chapters in between. Among all the 18 chapters, the middle 6 chapters are considered, very sweet. They are very sweet. It's all about bhakti, and our goal is bhakti only. Bhakti yoga is the goal. And here one more thing is, see, Krishna is Bhagavan and he's talking to his devotee. So what are they going to speak? Something very elevated, right? Their talk is going to be on another level. So like Prabhu gives this rough example. If 2 people are sitting in a bar, what are they going to talk about? Some mundane topics. Somebody is sitting, different places, different people. So here the talk is between Krishna and Arjuna. So it's all about devotion. In the marketplace, you talk about bargaining and all that. But here, this is between Bhagavan and his devotee. Okay, Nishkama Karma Yoga is easier than renouncing work. Arjuna again asks whether renouncing work is superior to working with detachment. Krishna replies, both are equal in the sense that both are means to the same goal. He emphasizes working with detachment as easier and superior. Okay, so he says both are easier, both are equal, but Nishkama Karma Yoga is better and it is easy and it frees you from bondage. Okay. Please recite this verse. One by one, we'll go through these verses and you'll understand how Krishna is explaining what exactly he is asking Arjuna to do. Because right now, Arjuna is asking, should I karma sannyasa or karma yoga? And why is he confused? What is getting him to this point? Actually, he's not really confused. He's a very elevated devotee, as we know. This is all for us actually, so that we know how we should, conduct our life and how we can perfect ourselves. So please recite this verse, Hare Krishna. Who is going to recite?
May I, Mataji?
Sure, Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Arjuna uvacha sannyasam karmanam Krishna punaryogam cha shamsasi yachreya etayo ekam tanme bruhi sunishchitam. Arjuna said, O Krishna, first of all you asked me to renounce work and then again recommend work with devotion. Now will you kindly tell me definitely which of the two is more beneficial?
Thank you, Prabhuji. So Arjuna thinks sannyasa means being free from all kinds of activity. I want to become a sannyasi. This is what while growing up also we have heard this word. Just want to run away and become a sannyasi. They think, a sannyasi means you can just give up all activities. Because work and renunciation, for Arjuna, it's appearing incompatible. Work and renunciation are incompatible for him right now. So being in full knowledge means inaction. Because according to Krishna himself, in chapter 3, he said, a devotee who is on the platform of transcendental knowledge, for him there is no purpose to fulfill in the discharge of his prescribed duties, and there is no reason for him to perform any such work, and there is no need to depend on anyone, any other living being. So this is what he said. He doesn't have to perform any there's no discharge of his prescribed duties. It's not required. So, And we have seen sannyasis in this in India and many places, especially in India. Whenever we see someone who is very renounced, just by the look of them, if they're very quiet, sitting on a mountain, and then very aloof inside a forest, we'll see them in remote places sometimes, just being themselves. We have a lot of respect for such people. But actually, Krishna is saying, doesn't encourage anything like this, because giving up activity is something Krishna is not encouraging here, because idle mind is like devil's workshop. It is not recommended in this Kali Yuga, especially because of senses and mind. They all need, we have to keep them engaged in some activity. So he's saying it's not possible to just give up all activity. You cannot say, I'll go sit in a corner and quieten my mind. I'll just become quiet. I'll not do anything. That's not going to happen, because our mind is always busy. It's always active. Thinking, willing, feeling are the activities of the mind. So we have to give some work to our senses and mind. And there are some people in the name of sannyasa, they take ganja, they take drugs, they do everything. So we understand from this point that in devotional service, work is not stopped. So Krishna is saying work in devotional service is better than Nishkama Karma Yoga. Work in devotional service is better than dry mental speculation. And devotional service is actually easier. It's transcendental and it is very easy to perform. When we see Ashtanga Yoga chapter, we'll understand devotional service is actually very easy. Because like Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying, all we have to do is eat prasad, chant as much as possible, make Krishna the center of our life and everything, all our activities, then our life automatically becomes perfect. So here, now let's see the series of events that are leading to Arjuna's confusion. So chapter 2, he gave information about Jnana. Then he said work through Buddhi Yoga. And again, Arjuna became confused. Jnana or Buddhi Yoga, Krishna Kama Karma Yoga. He asked the question in 3rd chapter. He said, what should he do? Right? He said, what should I do? Then he heard about karma through Jnana, action in inaction, inaction in action. Conclusion was transcendental knowledge. So armed with knowledge, armed with yoga, stand and fight. That's what he said. Now let's see. So this is from 3rd chapter. These verses are actually, but for one who takes pleasure in the self, whose human life is one of self-realization, and who is satisfied in the self only, fully satiated, for him there is no duty. So now duty means he has to get up and fight, right? So why does he need to do that? In 2nd chapter it said, keep all abominable activities far away. Because he meant fruitive activities. And at that time also, Arjuna was hearing that. He said, war is an abominable activity. So now in 3.18, a self-realized man has no purpose to fulfill in the discharge of his prescribed duties, nor has he any reason not to perform such work, nor has he any need to depend on any other living entity. But actually what is happening with the self-realized person, we'll understand. See, a person who is self-realized, who is actually pure in his heart and mind, all his impiety is being washed off. It is so clean, he's self-illuminated. And by the grace of Lord, he is actually not obligated to follow all the Vedic injunctions also. And his consciousness becomes so clear that automatically it's like he's performed so many thousands of sacrifices, thousands of yagnas, because he's actually reached that stage where his mind is clean, consciousness is clean, heart is pure, everything is going so great for him. And such a person will automatically lose interest in any addiction like wine, women, all these other infatuations does not attract him anymore, because he's on a different platform. Automatically he's become like that. He develops higher taste. So that's what it means here. For such a person, he doesn't need to perform any rituals also. O chastiser of the enemy, the sacrifice performed in knowledge is better than the mere sacrifice of material possessions. After all, O son of Pritha, all sacrifices of work culminate in transcendental knowledge. So the purpose of performing all the sacrifices recommended in the Vedas is for what? To attain complete knowledge. Okay. But only knowledge is not enough. Just, okay, you have all the knowledge. Knowledge itself will not liberate us. It is not going to help. So to become free from the material miseries, we have to do something. We must engage in the loving devotional service, transcendental service to the Supreme Lord. But there is a mystery again. He's saying the sacrifice performed in knowledge is better than the mere sacrifice of material possessions. Means if a person simply sacrifices material possessions, like how we discussed last time, without knowledge, it is just a material activity. Giving up, donating this, donating that, it is just a material activity. There is no spiritual benefit to it. If you just go and donate something and say, oh, look, I did such a great job, there is no spiritual benefit coming out of it, because only when the faith of a person culminates in Krishna consciousness, and he himself is actually helping others, trying to revive their consciousness, that is real service. So that way, based on the person's consciousness, sacrificial activities are also sometimes karma kanda activities or gnana kanda activities. Gnana kanda means knowledge in the pursuit of truth. So it is better if the activities or sacrifices culminate in knowledge. It should not be just material activity. Therefore, the doubts which have arisen in your heart out of ignorance should be slashed by the weapon of knowledge, armed with yoga, O Bharata, stand and fight. This was 4.42. This instruction is for all of us. Work in devotion and inaction in knowledge. Wake up and fight, he said. Let's see. So, Karma Yoga, action in Krishna consciousness, all beings constantly are making plans for the future. Thoughts are manifested in action. Repeated actions form habits. Habits make up our character, and character determines our destiny. How to take steps in the right decision is described in the 5th chapter. There are steps leading to further enlightenment in worldly complexities. So there are steps leading to a life of liberation, freedom, and tranquility and peace. So 5th chapter is going to give us all this information now. So in short, see thoughts. See, as we chant more and more and more, like Prabhu says, when there is dirt in a cloth, we put soap, put water, scrub it, remove. Like that, there are many anarthas in our heart, in our mind. So mind is constantly thinking. It's thinking. If you have some time, you can see people. You give them if they're talking to someone for 1 hour, they may talk about a lot of things. This person is like that. That person is like that. So much anger, so much envy, so much all kind of anarthas. Mind is always busy thinking all this, right? So those are nothing but our thoughts. Those thoughts will actually lead to actions one day, and those actions will form habits. See how what we think makes our character. See, slowly habits become like this, and that's our character. Now then we'll say this person is like this only, right? When very soon we label a person, then that will determine our destiny. So it's very important what we are thinking, what we are feeling, what we are willing, that actually is very important, because that will take us to another material body, not just with whatever we do today, there's a consequence for that. If you jump a red light, a cop is going to catch, he's going to take some fine from us. There's some consequence. Every time we break a rule, there is a consequence. But here we may have to pay a very big price. When we give up this body, we might go to a very, we don't know what kind of body we'll get. Right now we're not thinking about it, but death can come anytime. Could be 50 years later, 10 years later, whatever time. So that time, it's like writing an exam. Only we have to face whatever we have done. No one can help us at that time. Nobody. Arjuna's misunderstanding. Devotional service better than dry mental speculation. Dry mental speculation means philosophical study and all that. We'll see that. So in 2nd chapter, that's what we saw. Then knowledge of soul described by Krishna then prescribed duty was explained. Entanglement of soul due to fruitive activities was also explained. Explaining the process of disentanglement by devotional service. The moment we take shelter of the Lord, what happens? He is going to take control of us. In the sense, it is like frying the seed. They say a seed can sprout, right? If you give some water and actually sow it in the soil, it is going to sprout. But if you fry the seed and then it will not sprout. There's no plant is going to come out of it. It's not going to sprout at all. So like that, when devotional service is like that, all our sins will be removed. Nothing, all the sinful reactions and the tendency to commit a sin also is not there in a devotee. Third chapter explain no duty for a person in knowledge. So chapter 4 explain all kinds of sacrificial work culminates in knowledge. And in last verse of fourth chapter, Krishna again told Arjuna to get up and fight, thus confusing Arjuna, renounce our work. This is just a summary, it's a repetition. So let's move on. Arjuna is still confused. Why? Again, it is Krishna's plan to keep Arjuna confused. Because Krishna wants to speak Bhagavad Gita, his plan is actually working. Why Krishna does so? For our benefit. If he doesn't speak whatever is speaking here, and it is not going to benefit anyone. See, by hearing the whole of Bhagavad Gita, we can actually, our whole outlook changes. If we really practice what we are learning, our life, our outlook towards our problems, the way we live, everything changes. Prabhupada once was asked this question. Someone asked him when he was traveling, he said, Prabhupada, how come all your disciples, all the people associated with you, their faces are all so bright? How come? What is the secret? He said, because the process itself is like that, the process is so purifying. They chant so much, they perform, they're very joyful, they look very happy also. See devotees, they look very happy. You don't see stress on their face because they by chanting and performing devotional service, they have reached that stage. So here, so the whole of Bhagavad Gita helps us. It's not just about this life, it is about what happens after you die also. So it's going to help us go back to Godhead. So to stress that work and renunciation are not opposed to each other. Devotional service means spiritual life doesn't mean a person becomes or gives up all work. No, there is actually work involved. Rather, one must learn to work in a renounced spirit. See, this sentence is very important. How do we work in a renounced spirit? Arjuna thinks that jnana implies the renunciation of work and that knowledge and work, like light and darkness, are contradictory. Krishna emphasizes, however, that one in knowledge should also work. So how do we work in a renounced spirit? Let's learn that now. Arjuna's confusion again. You say work for sense activity must be given up. Fighting for a kingdom, even with knowledge of the soul, seems like activity of the senses to me. Right? He's fighting for a kingdom. And then, therefore, it should be given up. If one works with devotion, then how is work stopped? You speak in riddles, action in inaction, inaction in action. I am confused. That's what Arjuna is expressing himself very beautifully. Which is better? This person is sitting here performing. This is actually an image from Ashtanga Yoga. That's a stage when actually a person stops working actually. He goes into the forest and he's trying to, it's a very lengthy and tedious process to control his mind and senses to reach a state where he is actually focusing on the absolute truth. His goal is actually to see the Paramatma in the heart. He might see or he might not see, but the process itself is very difficult. So, and renunciation of work. He's asking which is better. Should I fight or should I? Please recite this one. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Sannyasa Karma Yogashcha Nishreyasa Karabhubhau Tayostu Karma Sannyasat Karma Yogo Vishishyate. The personality of Godhead replied, the renunciation of work and work in devotion are both good for liberation. But of the two, work in devotional service is better than renunciation of work. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you so much. So what are fruitive activities actually? Fruitive activities are activities done for sense gratification. I want something, that's why I'm performing this activity to satisfy my own senses for bodily comfort. So fruitive workers, what do? They transmigrate from one body to another, which will continue their material bondage. So conditioned souls are actually on the fruitive platform. Then what is success? We talk somebody is very successful. We look at him, oh, this person is very successful because he has a lot of money. He has this, he has that. He got some award. That is why he's successful. This is how in the material world we talk about success and failure. But when you read Bhagavad Gita, you understand our failure is when we can call ourselves as failures when we are not inquiring about our real identity. Who am I? What am I? Why am I here? Just giving up fruitive activities will not purify our mind and heart, like Krishna is saying. So mind can never be quiet, as we know. So real failure is when, and then when we are not inquiring about ourselves. So when we are not going towards self-realization, then we're actually failing. So just gnana also will not take us out of this material misery. So we have to just gnana, I'm not the material body, but I'm a spirit soul. Okay, I'm a soul, I'm not the body. Just this knowledge is not enough for liberation. We have to do something about it. We have to work on the platform of soul. So what do we do actually? Unless we develop love for devotional service, love for God, love to serve Vasudeva, there is no liberation, or there is actually we'll continue our miserable life. So it is like whatever happiness we see also, it's flickering. That's all in this world. There is no eternal happiness. 2 minutes somebody feels some joy, they feel like, oh, let me eat such a beautiful um, dessert. I'll be happy. But then after you eat, after 10 minutes, you're back. Your life is again the same thing. It's horrible life. So it's like that, they're looking for happiness here and there. So that everything done on a fruitive um, fruitive activities will not give us eternal joy. So such activities which are not activities in Krishna consciousness will not help us at all. So actually activities in Krishna consciousness are superior to renunciation also. So a person is actually in knowledge. Knowledge means he understands that Krishna is the fountainhead of everything. I don't own anything in this world. He is the proprietor. He is the maintainer. I'm just a spirit soul, part and parcel of the whole. If somebody is living in this consciousness, then actually there is some benefit to his life. All his actions will be beneficial for himself and for others also, because he's looking at others also like that. The way he looks at things changes. He's looking at others also as if they're all spirit souls and nothing else. And whatever action he performs will be beneficial for others. He's never going to harm anyone. Okay. This is about Mayavadis and working in devotion. Vaishnava sannyasis, a comparison between them. Okay. Would somebody like to read this? Hare Krishna. See, renunciation according to Mayavadi sannyasis, working in devotion. Vaishnava sannyasis, what do? They work in devotion. So these are the verses and these are the differences and given, comparison between them. So would somebody like to read this? Hare Krishna.
May I, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji, Hare Krishna. Please read, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Renunciation, Mayavadi sannyasis. Should I read the paragraph for renunciation first and then go for this, or I'll compare every time?
It's better to compare, I think, Mataji's comparison will know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Renunciation needs prior purification by prescribed duties, and a work in devotion process itself purifies. Simply jnana insufficient for liberation. Work in devotion, action is must action in status of soul. Renunciation, risk of fall down. Devotion, success guaranteed, entrance into God's kingdom. Renunciation, incomplete renunciation. Work in devotion, complete renunciation, or to use everything for Krishna. Renunciation, find the root, Vishnu. Work in devotion, water the root. Renunciation, Process is to detach from matter, devotion, become attached to Krishna. No happiness brings happiness. Sense restricted cannot relish transcendental devotional service. Senses engaged perform multiple devotional activities. Take many births, quickly achieve Supreme Personality of Godhead. Study Sankhya philosophy, study Srimad Bhagavatam. Sarireka
Sarireka
Bhasya
Bhashya.
or Vedanta study Sarireka Bhasya
Sharirika Bhashya,
or
written by
Vedanta.
Shankaracharya.
Okay, okay.
Vedas.
Or Vedanta Sutra by Shankaracharya. Study Srimad Bhagavatam, natural commentary on Vedanta Sutra. May fall down to philanthropic and altruistic
Activities.
altruistic activities, have multiple engagements in devotional service according to Pancharatriki regulations.
So this is the difference between, thank you Mataji, Mayavadi sannyasis and Vaishnava sannyasis. See, Mayavadi, this is how it is. Okay, they have the risk of fall down. We'll discuss all this. See, only a person who is in Krishna consciousness engages himself in the welfare activities for all living entities. So we cannot do first class welfare work without being liberated in the Supreme, because a Krishna conscious person actually is, he understands, not just understands this Krishna is Supreme, he's in the state of divine love. He acts from that platform. He's looking at, like Prabhupada himself, he was not saying this is a hippie dirty person, or this is like Haridas Thakur, when a prostitute entered, he was not feeling any aversion to her. He's like, gee, what kind of person has come? No. So, they are looking at everything, they are in the state of divine love. So they just want to, as much as they want to give love for Godhead to as many people as possible. They want to purify as many people as possible. And we can see that also. Many people purify themselves. And they understand why people are suffering. Why are we suffering? Why is everyone suffering? We can see there are so many people crying, right? Oh, I'm in pain, I'm in some trouble, I'm this, I'm crying, I'm suffering. There are many people who just keep on talking. I'm not appreciated, I'm not happy in my life. That is the problem, this is the problem. Problems. Why are they suffering? Bhagavad Gita tells us, we are suffering because we have forgotten who we are. Okay, forgetfulness of Krishna. That's the main reason, because we are so much entangled in enjoying our own senses, and so much entangled, so much in illusion, that we have forgotten who we are. And once we understand, there is this verse in this chapter, it tells us clearly, Krishna is the supreme enjoyer, he is the supreme proprietor, and he is the only well-wisher we have. He's the only well-wisher. If we understand that much, God is the only well-wisher. Nobody is perfect in this world. Okay, nobody is going to become equal to God. So if you understand he is the supreme friend, he is the only well-wisher, a person becomes immediately peaceful. Okay, so he is the proprietor. I don't own anything. He is the only enjoyer. So what am I supposed to do? Serve him so that he enjoys. So the enjoyment is in serving the Lord. So our desire is to serve the Lord. And once we understand that Krishna is the only friend we have, then all this pain, this pain is due to attachment to material relationships. Pain is when we are attached to material things. This feeling of proprietorship. This is mine, that is mine. That is causing all the pain. There is this beautiful example, once there was this person, he owned a very big factory. Then he had 3 sons. So this factory caught fire. Have I told you this before, this example? I'm not sure.
No, Mataji.
Okay, so this factory owner actually was just relaxing at home. The sons come and tell, Dad, the factory is caught fire. Everything is burning. So he's in so much pain. He starts, because that is their livelihood, right? The factory is burned, now they've become what? Nothing is there. It's going to become ashes. He's in a lot of agony. Is actually so much anxiety, fear, everything is there. He's lamenting, actually. So the eldest son says, Dad, don't worry. Just few days back, I sold the factory to someone else. So this factory is not ours anymore. Immediately the emotion changes. This person, oh, it's not mine. So I'm okay with it now because I sold, I have the money. So it doesn't matter if it is somebody else's. The emotion changes. See, as long as he was attached to that, my factory, that pain was there. As soon as he understands, okay, this is not mine, he feels so happy. Then the second son says, yes, this deal was done, but we still have not got the money. And if he comes to know that this is what has happened to the factory, he might not purchase it now. We have actually lost everything. So again, he starts crying, the factory owner. Then again, he's in pain. Oh no, I've become a pauper. What is this? Then the last son says, both of you don't worry. This person who has actually purchased this factory is a very honest person. He is going to finish the deal because he is committed to purchasing. So he will definitely give us whatever he planned. The papers are ready. So the factory is actually not ours right now. It's his only. Immediately again, big relief. It's like that, that's what causes all the pain and fear and all this attachment to material things, attachment to material relationships. Oh, this person is mine, that person is mine, this is mine, that is mine. This false identity, false prestige, all this is causing a lot of pain. So if someone is actually saying, oh, I am making this person's life better by giving something, material item, or say just offered one meal or something, they are just helping them in a very superficial way because it's just temporary relief, just external body is being satisfied just by giving one meal. The body will feel happy for that. It's not the point. It's better to give. If you don't give anything, our heart will become very, very hard. So it's better to give charity and all that. But the point is, unless and until that person changes from inside, the real love for God, it's already there in the heart. It needs to be rekindled. Once he understands, I am not the body, I am the soul, I belong, I'm a part and parcel of the supreme personality of Godhead, and this is me and all this. Once he revives his consciousness, he is actually a self-realized person, and then there won't be any misery. He will know how to conduct himself, how to live his life. That greed, all his anarthas will not be there. So that is real help a Vaishnava sannyasi does. Okay, that's what a Vaishnava sannyasi does. And whatever they do, it's given here very clearly. What kind of they read Sharirika Bhasya on Vedanta Sutra by Shankaracharya, but Vaishnava sannyasis read study Srimad Bhagavatam, and the activities are so. There are no activities. If you see here, they're not relishing it because there is no transcendental devotional service. It's all about study, 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 study. How much can you study? There comes a point when they get very tired. It's a very tedious process. But here, the process itself is so purifying. You chant, you serve the Lord. And another analogy is given here. Find the root, Vishnu, water the root. In Sankhya philosophy, it is like you see the tree. Now you want to see what is the root cause, why this tree is standing. So you dig the mud and finally find the tree, root of the tree. Then oh, there is a big root, it's expanding and there are so many branches. Oh, this is why, then that means if they can actually reach the root of the tree, that means they understood the cause of the whole material creation is Vishnu. Okay, that is why they are studying so much, so that they get to this point where they understand Vishnu is the source of everything. But here in devotional service, they have actually accepted the fact that Vishnu is the source. They're actually watering the root. They already understand. They know that this tree exists because there are roots beneath. They just water the root. That's it. That's the difference. It is like, and then who study like this, they come to the conclusion that we have to detach from matter. Okay, they say we have to detach from matter. And then Vaishnava sannyasis, they say attach yourself to Krishna. Detach from matter or attach yourself to Krishna. It's the same thing. Goal is the same thing. It's just the way, how they study. Because this Mayavadi sannyasis also, if they want to reach God, if they have to go back to Godhead, they have to reach a stage where they are completely in love with Krishna. So that is the ultimate goal. If they have to reach Bhakti Yoga is the ultimate goal. If they cannot reach that point, they will fall down. Fall down means, again, because of their own studies and all this, the way they study and the way they are performing their activities, what is happening is they take many births and there is no success like Vaishnava sannyasis who can achieve the Supreme Personality of Godhead very soon. And they also start, because there's no activity, right? So what they do? They're not actually serving the Lord, they're not relishing anything. So they fall down to philanthropic and altruistic activities and social service, all this. They try to find joy in that. So that's what they do. It's just the difference between them. So let's move ahead. Please recite this one, Hare Krishna.
नित्य सन्यासी यो न द्वेष्टि न कांक्षति निर्द्वन्द्वो हि महाबाहो सुखं बन्धात्यमुच्यते. One who neither hates nor desires the fruits of his activities is known to be always renounced. Such a person, free from all dualities, easily overcomes material bondage and is completely liberated. O mighty armed Arjuna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much. We live in a world of duality. We hate something, we desire something, we lament for something, then hanker for something, be happy and then become sad. This duality is there. We have to advance above these dualities. We should, if somebody criticizes, immediately that person takes it to heart. And if somebody praises, he'll feel so elated, puffed up. Prabhupada calls such a person become. So how can we accept both equally? You should not be that, we reach a stage where you are above all these dualities. So a person is determined, who is very, very determined, will not be affected. Hate or love, nothing bothers him, because it's beyond all these dualities. If somebody is praising him also, he takes it. He's not like, he will not become very elated or very happy. If somebody criticizes also, he's not going to become very sad and dejected. So he's going to be like that. There's one very beautiful example. Prabhu gives this example. Say you have made up your mind that you're never going to have alcohol. Or you say, I don't want to watch all these dirty movies that are coming these days. Just make up a mind. So you're going on the road, you will see some big posters, this big billboard of all these movie stars, and they spend so much money to promote their movies. Even after seeing all that, it may not attract you, because you already made up your mind. I'm not going to watch this. This is just nonsense. I'm not attracting me anymore. And or another example is you just decided that you're not going to drink, and then say somebody is right outside your house is serving alcohol for free. They say, this is not even Indian, this is so expensive, this is the best quality, all this. But in spite of that, even if it is free, that person may not drink. You say, no, I have made up my mind, I'm sorry, I'm not going to do these dirty things. Because you're already following the 4 regulative principles. You have reached a stage where those things don't attract you anymore. So that's how it is. So easily overcomes material bondage and is completely liberated. Hare Krishna, please recite this one.
Hare Krishna. Sankhya Yoga Prithak Bala Pravadanti na Pandita Ekam Apyastata Samyak Ubhayor Vendati Phalam. Only the ignorant speak of devotional service, karma yoga, as being different from the analytical study of the material world, Sankhya. Those who are actually learned say that he who applies himself well to one of these paths achieves the result of both. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Just a minute. It is saying preparing live stream. I don't know why I'm keep getting that message again. Okay. So what is the aim of analytical study of the material world? To find the existence of soul. So do all the analytical study of this material world. How can the material world function without spirit soul? This whole material creation is functioning only because there is this soul, spirit soul moving the world. Otherwise, nothing. It's just matter. Matter is dead. Matter, if something is functioning, even the body, if somebody is speaking, walking, eating, all this, because there is soul inside. As soon as the soul is gone, it's just matter, it starts decomposing. Right? Time factor starts working on it. So the analytical study is to find the existence of soul, and in devotional service, the service is given is to the super soul only. So in the analytical study, they'll find, the super soul is the soul of the material world. They'll ultimately reach that conclusion. So in devotional service, they're actually serving the super soul only directly. So a learned person understands, the purpose of Sankhya Yoga or Karma Yoga, it is the same. There's no difference between the two processes. Aim is Vishnu. Okay. In many ways, they are both the same, Jnana and Karma Yoga. Sankhya, Bhakti. Neither hates nor desires fruits, free from dualities and liberated. Okay, Sankhya Yogi, and the difference between Sankhya Yogi and Karma Yogi. See, neither hates nor desires fruits, free from dualities, liberated. Comes to understand that he is soul, not this body, becomes detached from matter. Comes to understand that he is soul, not this body, becomes attached to working for Krishna. See, detachment from matter, attachment to working for Krishna. It's the same thing actually. Okay. Sankhya and devotional service. Would somebody like to read this one? Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. In the first process, Sankhya, one has to become detached from matter, and in the devotional yoga process, one has to attach himself to the work of Krishna consciousness. Factually, both processes are the same, although superficially one process appears to involve detachment and the other process appears to involve attachment. Detachment from matter and attachment to Krishna are one and the same. One who can see sees things as they are. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. So what is proper understanding of renunciation? Now, renunciation is complete when it is in knowledge that everything that exists does not belong to me, belongs to the Lord. You know, everything, sun, moon, air, water, whatever we see in the material creation, including our body, everything that is proper now with knowledge. Renunciation is complete when it is with knowledge that everything exists belongs to the Lord, and no one can claim proprietorship over anything. We just, for the sake of living in this world, will say this house is mine, that job is mine, or whatever. But internally, you know, we should know that nothing actually belongs to us. So that is real renunciation, where whatever belongs to us, we are using in the service of the Lord. If like, you know, very highly in most of the, you know, classes, you might have already heard this. If there are children in the house, you say, this is my child, this is my child, this is my child. That's the consciousness when bringing up the child. If a person who is actually Krishna conscious, we look at the child as a soul that is actually come from Krishna himself, and I should do my best to make sure this soul actually becomes Krishna conscious, God conscious, and actually, you know, serves the Lord and actually goes back to the Lord himself. It is like that. So with that consciousness, they bring up the child. If that happens, the child will never commit any sins. And the whole family, if the whole family is Krishna conscious, then there is no problem at all. Everybody understands that all they are doing is serving the Lord. Okay, all the relationships become so beautiful. They will not insult each other also, because they know the Lord is in everyone's heart. That is a spirit soul, this is a spirit soul, and the whole equation changes. So artificial renunciation is not recommended. Saying that I have something, I'll donate it. It is like Mataji gives this example. It's like going to the bank and saying I'm renouncing the bank from today. You know, doesn't make sense, right? I'll renounce something else today. I'll renounce the clothes, I'll renounce food. What can we renounce? Bali Maharaj's example we can see. He wanted to donate something. He said, I am such a big, I can give anything in charity. So that was his consciousness. But then we know what can we actually give? The body is not ours. Can we actually donate it to him? If it does not even belong to you, what are you going to offer? So if one understands that, that means everything that we have is coming from the Lord himself. So we use that in his service, not for any wrong purpose. So we cannot enjoy the senses without God in the center of our activities. So sacrifice actually means giving up the tendency to enjoy the senses. That is actual sacrifice without Krishna. We cannot enjoy without Krishna. We cannot, nothing is independent of Krishna. Please recite this one, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Sanyasastu mahabaho dukham bhaptum ayogata yoga yukto munir brahma nacharena adhigacchati. Merely renouncing all activities yet not engaging in the devotional service of the Lord cannot make one happy. But a thoughtful person engaged in devotional service can achieve the supreme without delay. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. This is what we were discussing just now. And the image is also very clear. This person, just renouncing all activities, not engaging in devotional service. It cannot make you happy, right? And you see these Krishna conscious devotees, they are so glowing actually. They are actually very, very, it's performed with so much joy. Devotional service is performed with so much joy. And we can see the joy in them also. You see some of the devotees in Mayapur, they look so peaceful. It's not at all artificial. They're not trying, because most of the people in the world, they wear a mask. They go to the office, they want to show that they're very happy. They put an artificial smile. Inside there's so much turmoil going on, but outside, externally, we have to show we're having parties, so beautiful, everything is so fine with me. This is all artificial life. So real joy comes from within. We can see it's like gold is gold. Even if you put that person in a difficult situation, he will still shine. So it's like that. A devotee is like that. Any situation, anywhere, like Prahlad, he was not in bewilderment. He was not in anxiety. It's like that because they are completely self-realized. So how to perform Nishkama Karma Yoga? One performing Nishkama Karma Yoga identifies neither with his body nor the activities that his body performs. Working with detachment, performance of Nishkama Karma Yoga. One performing Nishkama Karma Yoga identifies neither with his body nor the activities that his body performs. By his detached actions, he is freed from the reactions of his activities. It is like just like another rough example is that cashier again. He's from morning till evening he is counting cash, but he knows this does not belong to him. So he's just working. So there is a book called God is My CEO. So it's like you're working for this person, a boss, and whatever he says you do. So your job is just to satisfy the boss. So all the reactions he will bear, profit, loss, everything is assumed by the boss. It is like that. You're working for Krishna. There is no reaction. Personally, nothing bothers you. And he is going to protect, he is going to assume the reactions. So no sinful reactions can touch us. Because it's all devotional activity. It's a transcendental platform. So perfect knowledge means I am not material body, I am soul, part and parcel of Supreme Lord. I want to render service to him. I will work in a detached spirit. This is Nishkama Karma Yoga. In short, it's very sweet, sweet and short explanation. Who is a Nishkama Karma Yogi now? If you ask him, who are you? He'll say, I'm a servant of God, nothing else. He'll say, I'm a servant of God. Then sorry for the. So if you ask Nishkama Karma Yogi, who are you? He says, I am servant of God. What work do you do? Work allotted by God. What do you do? How do you do the work? I work hard with sincerity, dedication to my best ability. What do you do with the results? I hand it over to God. So this is the consciousness of a Nishkama Karma Yogi. Okay, Krishna consciousness and bodily consciousness. Steadily devoted soul offers the results to me. 5.12. Others are greedy for the fruits of labor. Result is entanglement. So what is the difference between a Krishna conscious person and a person in bodily consciousness? See, a Krishna conscious person, he's attached to Krishna, but the other person, one who is in bodily consciousness, he's attached to the result of the activity. So what am I going to do? What am I going to gain out of this? I do this, but what am I going to gain out of it? That's his consciousness. So a person who is attached to Krishna, he will not have any anxiety because he's just happily performing his activities and no anxiety about the result of the work. If something does not work out, he'll think, okay, this is God's plan, Krishna's plan. It did not work out. I did my best. We all tried our best with our own intelligence. It's not working out because this is Krishna's plan. He understands that much. So He works only for Krishna and he's a liberated person. That way he's liberated. There's no duality. But a person who is entangled in profit calculation, what am I going to do? What am I going to gain out of this? He's always thinking about sense gratification, calculating profit, 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 profit. Such a person is actually, he's actually in an anxiety. There's so much anxiety there. So that is then the devotee is in the platform of fearlessness and peace. Why fearlessness? Because he knows Krishna is in control, and he's at peace because he knows again Krishna is in control. All he's doing is serving God. That's it. So a person who's actually thinking of himself or his sense gratification and profit actually has to. You can see just by his face, you can tell he's in a lot of anxiety. So devotees are actually not in anxiety that way. There are many examples in Bhagavatam. There are many devotees put through so much test. Like Pandavas, actually, we cannot say. When we look at them, we feel like, wow, they are actually going through so much troubles, right? So many troubles. They face such difficult situations. But actually, they were all, if you see them, they actually look so peaceful. You look Dhritarashtra's face, Duryodhana's face, and see their face. They are with Krishna. Bhagavatam says they were actually in transcendental peace all the time, even in the forest, even on the battlefield, you could see that, they were actually at peace. So one who works in devotion, who is a pure soul and who controls his mind and senses, is dear to everyone and everyone is dear to him. Though always working, such a man is never entangled. There are many examples, like we have all these Goswamis, and we have Prabhupada himself. He could attract so many souls towards Krishna consciousness. Right? Everybody was attracted to him. He was dear to so many people. A person in the divine consciousness, although engaged in seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, eating, moving about, sleeping, breathing, he's performing all the activities that anyone does, always knows within himself that he actually does nothing at all. Because while speaking, evacuating, receiving, or opening or closing his eyes, he always knows that only the material senses are engaged with their objects, that he is aloof from them. So if it's just like a machine, the hand by itself cannot do anything. The whole mechanism of the body makes the hand move, right? There's so much more happening. And again, example is Prabhupada himself. He started this movement living among hippies, and then they used to be drunk and dirty. They were so they didn't know what they were doing most of the time. That's how they lived, very dirty life. But then he could actually turn them into happy devotees. He's a Mahabhagavata. It's not possible by everyone. He just survived by selling books, actually. Prabhupada, in the initial days, if you read his Leelamrita, you will see how difficult it was for him to actually, but he was very determined. He was not in any distress. He was just following his guru's orders. That's all mattered to him. But we can see how sincere, how determined he was. And so because of his mercy, actually, we are also, benefiting. And we can stop at this verse, and next class we can continue. One who performs his duty. Okay, please recite this verse, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yoga, sorry. Brahmanyadhyaya karmani sangam tyakva karoti ya lipyate na sapapena padmapatram ivambasha. One who performs his duty without attachment, surrendering the results unto the Supreme Lord, is unaffected by sinful action, as the lotus leaf is untouched by water.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. So Brahmani means actually Krishna consciousness. It's explained in the purport. How did the material world manifest? The material world is a manifestation of the three modes of material nature. The sum total is called pradhana. There is a lot of technical terms used. But then once we understand this material body is a gift from God and it is supposed to be engaged in Krishna consciousness, such a body becomes beyond contamination by sinful reactions. So just like a lotus flower, it lives in dirty water, muddy waters, but it stays clean. It doesn't lose its charm. So a devotee also, He lives in this world. He lives among all dirty people. Dirty because there are different people have different modes of, they are in different modes and they have their own problems and other thoughts and all that. He lives in this world, but he does not catch the infection of the world. He does not himself become dirty. Like Prabhupada, he did not become anything. In fact, the hippies became Vaishnavas. Prabhupada was a Prabhupada only. It's like that. A person who is so pure, gold is gold, like that. Lotus is lotus. That person has so much value, He does not catch any infection of the world. He will not become dirty. He will stay as he is. So that's the nature of a devotee. So once we become very determined, nothing can disturb us. No amount of campaigning about anything will disturb us. We'll stay like this. So there are many elevated devotees. Bhagavatam also says, and all you can see Goswamis, so many devotees are there, so many examples. So this is how they live in this world, but they are on a different platform only. They'll never get dirty. Very beautifully explained in the puppet. So this is again Prabhupada. Okay, that was Prabhupada doing singing kirtan among all the hippies, and all they are also singing. You see how nothing affected him. In fact, they are all becoming Krishna conscious. So that is, he can actually convert others also. If we could actually revive a few people's consciousness, we can actually bring them closer to Krishna, or Krishna equals God. Bring them closer to Krishna, then our life also becomes successful. We also we'll try to take them also with us closer to Krishna. So he's a Mahabhagavata. We can just follow his instructions. We cannot copy him at all. So they're all very great. Hare Krishna. I'll do one thing. I will stop